In this Handmade Holidays video, check out how to make these zipper cans. They will add a lot of organization in your sewing room, and any sewist that you know might love to have a set of these to organize all of their tools and notions and anything really. So let's get to making them. Hey guys, it's Elizabeth from ElizabethMadeThis.com, and you have made it to day 5 of Handmade Holidays here on Elizabeth Made This, where I'm sharing lots of quick and easy gift ideas and just little projects that you can be doing during this holiday season. Today we're going to take on the zipper can. This is a tutorial that I am dedicating to Fanny and Ricky, who had asked for to see how to make one of these things. This is a project I developed a couple of years ago, and I love these things. They're so colorful and happy, and they are a really integral part of my sewing room organization system. I use them for tools, for pens, for all kinds of stuff in my room. And I think anybody who likes organizing things or who likes to just have all their stuff in nice little areas would love to have a zipper can. I know my husband uses one on his workbench in the garage to keep all of his pens in order, so he doesn't have to hunt around on the table, which is often covered with a lot of junk, for a pen. So make one up and let's get into it. Okay guys, we're getting started with our zipper can organizer tutorial here. So that is the finished product. Again, this is just something that fits right over just a standard tin can. And you can use vintage metal zippers like I did on this one, or you can use just regular nylon zippers. The nylon zippers are awesome because you can get them, pretty much in any color really inexpensively. And these are, you're going to need 6 9-inch nylon zippers, or you can use metal zippers. And if you're lucky enough to get 9-inch metal zippers, then go for that, because they definitely look nicer, although they're a little bit harder to work with. But that will not matter. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is cut your pieces. So I've got just plain white fabric. You can use muslin, just any kind of plain fabric, and then I've got a nice cotton quilting print that's going to be my lining. So you want to cut something. So for a regular can, and this is just a 15-ounce can or something. Go ahead and measure the circumference of your can. So in this case, I know it's 9 1/8 inches. And I want to add an inch of ease to that. So I want a rectangle that's 10 1/8 inches around. And I've done it with less ease, but it's really, really difficult to put the final product over the can. So 1 inch of ease seems to be the right amount to make it so that the can can fit in there easily. And then height-wise, this is like 4 3/8 inches, and so I'm going to add 5/8 of an inch to that for 5 inches. So you want to cut 2 rectangles, one of your cotton quilting print, and then one of your plain just muslin. So 10 1/8 inches by 5 inches, and then you will also want to cut. You want to cut 2 circles for the bottom. And so you can take your can and just put it onto a piece of paper and trace around it. And then you want to add 3/8 of an inch to that can. So I know for this particular can, that leaves me with a radius of 1 3/4 inches. And why am I talking about radius? Because I have this Jiffy tool. So this is the circle rotary cutter that Olfa makes. I use this tool so much when I'm making yo-yos. It is such a wonderful tool because it will literally just, you put it down and it will cut in a circle. The blade is right there and it will cut in a circle, which is really, really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and quick cut these up. So to show you how to do the circle cutter, I'm gonna put the needle part directly into the center, which is right there. See if I can eyeball that. Yep, and I'm just gonna cut straight through both layers. This is so cool. I can't even tell you how much time this saves you if you cut a lot of circles. I know my mom, when she used to make yo-yo quilts, would sit there with a glass and trace all of them and cut them out one by one, and it was very, very, very tedious. You may have to come back though and kind of trim around. Like, I know I did not get that edge very well. I think I just disengaged the blade. What? I probably need to change my blade. But ta-da, you see like how fast that is to cut circles. Okay, so now we can take our zippers and our 2 rectangles and our 2 circles to the machine, and I can show you how to put this together. Okay, so first we're gonna do the lining. So I'm gonna take my cotton quilting print. I'm gonna put it right sides together, kind of on the long side, and I am gonna sew it together with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, just from top to bottom there. Okay, now we got to put the bottom on. So I'm going to take my circle and I am going to put it inside of this. And I'm just kind of fold the quarters of the circle kind of with my fingers so I could mark that. And then I know that I'm going to make a 1/4 inch mark with my scissors too. So kind of, it was already folded in half, and then I'm going to bring the seam and then my mark together and give it a little snip. And then I'm going to try and keep bring the right sides together and put the quarters of the circle together. Okay, I want to sew with the rectangle side up and the circle down. That is going to make it a lot easier to sew it. Okay, and again, I'm gonna sew this with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then I'm gonna match that next little marking, that next little quarter marking, to the quarter on my circle. If you try and sew with the circle up and the rectangle down, it's going to be a lot harder to do this. So just do your best. This is not a difficult project, but this part is maybe just a hair tricky. Okay, I'm going to keep going around this circle with that same 1/4 inch seam allowance. Almost to the end here. And that's all we need to do for the lining. You can see, I'm going to turn it out. Right side's out. So I've got a cute little inside for my organizer, and we will just set that aside. Okay, so now I've got my plain fabric, and I am going to start with my zippers, and I made a mark with just a pen 1/4 inch away from the top of the rectangle, and I'm going to put my zippers along there. Just kind of center them on the piece. You can see the fabric is a little bit longer, and that is just fine because we are going to cover over that in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to use my zipper foot, and I just chose a color that is close to the lightest color, but you can of course match all your thread for that. And I'm just going to sew as close to the edge of each zipper as I can. So when I get to the edge of the zipper, I am just going to drop my needle and pivot, go across the other way. Nylon zippers are awesome because you can sew right over them and they're not going to hurt your machine like metal zippers can. You won't break a needle on a nylon zipper unless you're really trying hard. And I am just going to go ahead and do the same thing across the other side. Okay, so that's one zipper, and I just need to keep adding zippers to all of this. I'm going to choose to have all of my zipper heads on the same side. You can of course alternate if you'd like. It's just really, this is very personal choice. And I'm going to bring the tape as close to the other zipper tape as I can. Again, I'm stitching really close to the edge, kind of as close as I can. And if it's not 100% perfect, that's okay. Drop the needle, pivot, go across. Oops. If you overshoot, no problem. You actually really don't need to sew across this top part. You can just keep adding zippers from here. So it's probably going to take about 5 zippers to go across the entire span of your fabric, and that is where we want it to be. If you can, try and keep your zippers out of your seam allowance. I can see my last zipper is gonna be really, really close on the edge there, and that is okay. It's not ideal, but it's all right. Again, this would be a lot worse if I was using metal zippers. And it just kind of depends on the tape width of your zippers, and it's totally okay to overlap the zippers like I did there. I'm making like a zipper tapestry, you can think of it like. Okay, I've got my last zipper here that's going on this direction. Again, I'm going to super overlap these ones because I got a little bit far down. Just watch out for the head there. I'm going to have to fiddle this. And if you have to, move things around, that is okay. That's how we deal with zippers anyway, right? Okay, this next part is by far the hardest part of this entire project. So I'm going to take my other zipper and my last zipper, and I'm going to stitch right along. See where the stops are? I'm going to stitch right along there. Just be careful as you're going over the stops because your machine is probably gonna not be super happy about going over the stops. Just make sure that you don't hit the stop with a needle. No broken needles, right? Okay, I don't need the bottom of this zipper. It's just here for decoration. So I'm gonna cut this about 1/4 inch away from the bottom. This is just gonna cover over where the zipper seams are when we go to turn this into a tube here in a second. Okay, so this is just extra. If you had zippers that were too short and you had a little bit extra tape like that, you could just stuff that underneath of it and just add that to your zipper. I had to do that with a couple of the other cans. Like this one, you can see I had this zipper was too short, so I just added a little bit there. All right, so now we are going to take the right sides of the zipper together. We want to move the tape out of the way, so I'm just putting the white fabric to the white fabric. You know, whatever muslin that you happen to be using. Okay, we're going to sew this with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. This is not going to want to do a whole lot here because this fabric is now extremely rigid from adding the zippers to it. Okay, so now we're going to turn this right side out again. If you wanted to save yourself some pain, you could take some fabric glue and just glue this extra edge down, and that would be totally fine. I'm going to show you the hard way. And again, adding this zipper tape as decoration is totally optional. Okay, so now we're going to sew from here down. The trick is to not hit the other side while you're doing this. So you're gonna have to sew basically in a tube, which is not super fun, but you can do it. Okay, we're just gonna go one little stitch at a time. It's not a very long seam, and because our zipper heads are far out of the way, it shouldn't be too bad. You just gotta watch it and keep holding everything down, and you'll make it. So I'm gonna sew as close to the edge of my tape as I possibly can. And I'm just gonna make sure that I am not going to sew through to the other side. And you're just gonna have to kind of move it with your fingers. Move the other side with your fingers so it's out of the way so you don't accidentally hit it. Because do you really want to use your seam ripper on this? Probably not. And I can see that I already did. If you're finding yourself having a hard time getting from one side of the seam all the way to the other, you can sew halfway down the middle and then go ahead and turn it around, which is what I'm going to do because I hit the back side with a couple last stitches. So after I sewed my half, I'm going to go and sew the other half from the other side. And that works just fine. I just have a little bit further to go here, so I'm pretty good. I'm just going to overlap my stitches a little bit. And now this part is all done. So now the only thing is I want to sew the cylinder to the circle, just like we did with the lining. So go ahead and put this inside out, and then I'm going to make those quarter markings. Where my zipper is, I'm just going to count that as the half. And then I'm going to make a quarter snip with my scissors. Bring those two together and then make the other two quarters. Okay, and then I'm going to just hand press my circle into quarters. And then put right sides together. I'm going to match the quarter markings, and I'm not pinning, but feel free to pin here. And then again, you want to make sure the circle is towards the feed dogs and not the other way around. And this is where it's a little hard because the zipper fabric now is quite inflexible. So just go slow and you will be just fine. Okay, so we're going to go around in the circle with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. To the end. Watch out when you get to the end of your zipper, it might be a little bit difficult. Okay, so now just go make sure there's no holes or anything. But now we've got these two guys all ready to go. Okay, so now I want to join this cylinder with this cylinder. So I'm going to put the lining inside out and put the zipper stuff inside it. Just clip my thread. And we're going to sew around the top here. Before we do this, actually, okay, this is important. This bottom zipper, closest to where we just sewed, we're going to unzip it, like about 3/4 of the way. I'm going to take some scissors and I'm going to cut in between that. This cut will never be seen on anything, and because this is not a garment, it really doesn't matter. But it's not going to be seen because it's completely on the inside. The can is in between this and the lining, so that's not going to be seen, and then the zipper is going to close this. So I'm just going to cut all the way around here. This is going to give me something so I can put the can in. We want to keep this open when we want to go to put the lining and this together. Otherwise we can't turn this at all. And that would be bad. Okay, so I'm going to put the zippers inside out, and I'm going to put the lining inside. So right side is to right side, and I'm going to match up the seams, and we're going to sew around the top of the cylinder with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. should have no trouble doing this if you've done your work and kept the zipper tape out of the seam allowance. And I'm not using pins, but if pins are your jam, you just go for it. And if you end up with a little pleat in your top, don't worry about it. It's just fine. Okay, so at this point, this thing is done. All we got to do is, you know, give everything a nice press as much as you can, and then you're going to turn everything right side out. And then to put the can in, we've got our open bottom here. I'm just going to stick my can in there and zip up the bottom. And that is that. If this was a helpful video for you, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And thanks for watching Handmade Holidays. Tune in for more Handmade Holidays in the next few days. And thank you for watching, and happy sewing.